Hey there and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm taking you behind the scenes on a private class that I ran with Lisa and model Emily. Here you can just see Lisa setting up. So the idea Lisa had was to get a model and wrap her in packing paper. So we got all this brown paper and we started on my mannequin about sort of putting it all together. But then once Emily turned up, we just had natural hair and makeup. We then started dressing her in various different outfits, I guess you could call it. You can see all our outfits on the floor there for this shoot. So let me just run through a few things for you. So we had different lights set up. We were using constant light for this shoot. So what you can see in the background, we have the newer TL90 on the ground. We also had the TL60 on the ground, and we were moving these sort of depending on whether she was standing or sitting and how high that we had it. So you'll see those change around. The other thing that we were using on this shoot is the new GC21B, which is a bi-colour blow-up or inflatable 21-watt LED light. And you can also see here on camera right the GC30C, which is a full RGB LED inflatable. Now, these were really good because what we could do, you could see both of them here, just top camera sort of in the middle there and here where the arrows are. These were just, because they're magnetic, we just popped them on a lighting stand. Awesome, great way. And we could put them on the backdrop stand. We can move them around, do whatever we want. They've also got little handles on them, I guess, so you can hang them from things as well. So these really aren't bright enough at a distance to light my model up. If I had them in really close, then yes. I'm using them as just hair lights or rim lights, really. My main lights were actually a newer 300C, which you can just see the bottom of there, at sort of a 45-degree angle and down from my model. That had an 85-centimetre softbox on it. And on camera left there, you can see the newer CB200C with a 65-centimetre softbox on it, which I was using as my fill light. The beauty of having all of these as RGB lights, and virtually everything is that I can change the color of it, and you'll see that in a moment. So what we were doing here, we were playing with different lighting setups. Lisa was coming through and trying to make subtle improvements on the dresses. Sometimes it took two of us to get these into place, and we were just playing around with these and just seeing what we could create. Sometimes I had the light stick behind Emily. Sometimes I would put it in front of Emily. We were just moving them around as we wanted them. You can also plug these into power, or you can have the light sticks running on battery. For the backdrop, I had actually got some painter's drop sheets, which are sort of this Hessian cotton sort of thing. It was very neutral. I love the texture that it gave us, even though there's some seams and things like that in it, but it was just neutral and it just gave us a really good background to make the paper stand out. We did try going for some sort of moody backlit shots, but we weren't loving them as much as we did with more brightly lit stuff. So we slowly added some more light back in. So as you can see here, you can grab the GC tubes and you can just hold them up. And it was just giving some really, really lovely rim light to our model there. So we also put the light, as you'll see in a second, we put it on Emily's lap. And even though it did give quite a lot of light to the face, coming from underneath, it sort of looked almost like that, ghost stories by the campfire type look. So we really weren't terribly impressed with that, especially as it was hitting her paper hat, I guess you would call it, and bouncing back down. But you have to try these things when you are doing an experimental shoot just to see what works and what doesn't. We then tried this sort of mesh paper, wrapping paper as well, to see how that worked as sort of creating like a shawl around her head. It doesn't fold or sit as nicely as fabric does, so it did force us to be a little bit creative, but it was absolutely gorgeous in some of the photos, and we had the hair light coming in through it. It was fabulous. And then it was time for another outfit. So I'm just playing around with setting the lights up. Lisa was attempting to attach the dress. It actually took sort of both of us to wrap her around. We used the mesh paper and then we went over the top of it with just the brown paper. I just had rolls of both of them that we had got and just from an office supply store, and we wrapped Emily up in them. It was quite a challenge getting them to stay up without falling off. Also, Emily really couldn't move very far. She was limited in what she could do because once we had her wrapped up, she sort of couldn't really move. We tried tearing the bottom of the skirt of the dress per se, but it was still a little challenging. From here, we then went and started changing the lights. Using the newer app, I was able to quickly and easily change the colours for both the TL60 and 90 light sticks, as well as the CB 300 and 200 C RGB lights. So, and being RGB, you can have pretty much any colour on the spectrum. So we were playing around with pinks and blues, which I absolutely loved. Then we went for sort of more blues and yellows. Again, we were trying to wrap Emily up in another outfit. So we were doing sort of sitting, standing, a few different poses. We were trying to get Emily to sort of hug into the paper here. And I was moving the lights around so that I had the light sticks on a cross angle, one in front and one behind, but I also had the larger lights also at the front. Plus I had the inflatable light sticks still on the light stand. So just moving around, subtle, soft movements. Apologise, I've got the lighting stand right smack bang in the middle of the shot there. But we then decided on yet another sort of outfit look. So we were doing sort of like a halter style dress. We were using some strings, so still keeping in those neutral fibres, just to sort of give a bit of waist and a bit of shape. We had that hat back again, and we had turned the coloured lights off, as you can see, and we're just back to the straight lights. I think I had the lighting set to about 5600 Kelvin. Now, we did two things. I moved the lighting stand from behind Emily that had the extra paper on it because we wanted to just have that neutral canvas. The other thing you'll probably notice is that the GC21W, which is in the back corner, has actually run out of power, so that's turned off. So that was about 90 minutes into the shoot that lasted. GC30C, which you can see in the right corner here, was actually still running, and even after the 2-hour shoot finished, I think it still had about 15% power on it. So that's pretty much it. It was a 2-hour session that we ran. So thank you very much to Lisa and, of course, to our model, Emily. I hope you found this a little bit inspirational and perhaps helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you next time on YouTube. Bye.